What's up, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of SWACtalk, the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. Of course, I am your SWAC tour guide, C. Wells, and as you can see on the screen, we're gonna take a little time. Not gonna waste too much time. We're gonna talk a little bit about the coaches that are on the hot seat. This video was kind of spurred on by Coach Donald Hill-Eley being relieved of his duties at Alabama State this weekend. So just kind of wanted to come in and touch base on what I think, who is on the hot seat, in my opinion, who may be let go at the end of the season or whose job may be safe, and the reasons why I think that is the case for each coach. Um, First off, as usual, you can check out the socials on the screen below. If you'd like to show a little love and support to the show, I'll pass around a collection plate, and you can hit the Cash App $ Swag Talk. So feel free to show a little love if you choose to. And while you're here, once you go ahead and subscribe, and if you had subscribed and hit the notification bell, you will already know that this video is dropping today. So you won't have to look and search. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can get the content when I drop it. There won't be no surprises, no missed videos, or none of that. So do that. Feel free to like the videos, share them, and comment. If on who you think is on the hot seat, who you think gonna get the axe. And we can chop it up in the comments. First and foremost, a couple PSAs before we start. Number one, I am not advocating for any coach to lose their job. That's something that's up to each university. So I'm not gonna sit here and say this guy needs to be fired, and I'm not saying any particular person will be fired. So I just want to throw that out there so nobody think that I'm saying that this person's gonna get fired, or I heard that this person is on the way out, or any of that. And also on the flip side, I just whatever I say don't necessarily mean that person is safe either. So don't say C. Wells said that this guy job is safe and then he get fired and then you're looking at me crazy. So that's number one. And number two, all of this is strictly opinion based. I only facts that I'm gonna drop in this is like records and things like that. So anything else is just my opinion. So with all that being said, man, let's go ahead and get started with this. First and foremost, like I said, we're gonna talk about Coach Donald Hill-Eley. He was relieved of his duties at Alabama State this weekend, and he actually got off to a good start when he took over the job in 2017 at Alabama State when Brian Jenkins got fired after the first 5 games of the season. He actually went 5-1, and I think they finished on a 5-game winning streak, which is the longest winning streak that Alabama State has had since he's been there. And this team has never really got over the hump. They finished second that year. They finished fourth in 2018, third in 2019, second in 2020, but in 2021 spring. But that's kind of deceiving. Alcorn didn't play. A couple games didn't get played between a couple of division opponents. So it's not necessarily that they were the second best team in the league. It's just that's the way it fell due to the spring season. So this team to me, has never really gotten going offensively since he's been there. They have some they have had some good pieces offensively, and they've just never been able to put it all together. Their offense is just not that kind of offense that's gonna go out and win games on their own. Defensively, they've built a really solid defense since he's been there. I think the defense was really the lifeblood of this team, and they carry this team as much as they can. But when your offense isn't consistent, then you're not gonna win a lot of games. And Alabama State, if you look at their record, in his time at Alabama State, he was 4-7 in 2018, 5-6 in 2019, 3-3 in 2021 spring, and now he's three. Well, he finished 3-4 this season. So as you can see, always around that 500 mark, never over it. Um, they never finished over 500 in his time there. Matter of fact, that team that he took over in 2017 finished 5-6. So 5-6 is the most. 5 wins is the most that he's had at Alabama State. 3-3 in the spring was his best winning percentage on the season. He finished. So it's just just could not get over the hump at Alabama State. And when you aren't winning championships and you're not really in the hunt for the title, you have to beat your rivals. And you have to take advantage of any opportunity that you get. 2018, they beat Alcorn, who went on to win the SWAC, but they finished fourth in the division. So even though they beat Alcorn that year, they did not capitalize, and they finished fourth in the division. So, like I said before, if you're not gonna, if you can't challenge for championships, whether they're division championships or league championships, or at least be in the hunt, in November, then you need to beat your rivals. And they finished 0-4 against Alabama A&M in the Magic City Classic, and that's a surefire way to upset a lot of people, especially people who may not be there week in and week out in the stadium, but the people who probably got more pull and they expect to win these types of games. So when you don't win these games and you're not challenging for championships and you're not necessarily, you know, having a lot of name guys in your program, it tends to put you on the hot seat. And honestly, I think he's been on the hot seat since since 2019 to me. I mean, he just, people have just never been satisfied with the job that he's done, and the team hasn't really took that next step. And to be fair, they never took a back step either. They just always seemed like they were stuck in neutral. I always say, and I think it's an exaggeration, but I always say that they win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. They never have big winning streaks. They never have big losing streaks. They always just up and down, up and down, up and down, and that mark that will hurt you. What I mean, Alabama State is a tremendous opportunity for any coach that whoever comes in is gonna have some nice pieces on offense. A couple young quarterbacks who can help you. Running backs are there. A couple receivers are there. Offensive line was young in the spring, so they're still getting better. And you're gonna have a solid defense, so you have the pieces to at least be in the hunt for the division race. Even if it's just a top three finish, you have the pieces there for that. You have a great stadium. Not that old. You know, good facilities and a program that when they win, they are very successful. If you look at the run that Alabama State had in the early 2000s when they were basically battling with Alabama A&M for the SWAC East title, those teams were very very good, and they stayed like that throughout most of the 2000s and the early 2010s. So this program can win. It's not like this is a Maury-bound program that's not gonna win games or challenge, but you have to get an identity on offense. You have to get some more playmakers in there. Probably gonna have to hit the portal and continue to strengthen your defense as well, because you can't keep putting guys in positions to try to save games and keep you in games earlier until your offense finds a way to go. And regardless of who comes in, that Magic City Classic game is very important. First year, they're probably gonna have to win it because you don't want to be 0-5 in a rivalry like that. So the pressure is on whoever comes in, but you can win there. Alabama has a lot of great high school football there, so the talent level is there. You're close to Florida, you're close to Atlanta. You can dip into Mississippi and Louisiana and get talent. Tennessee, so you're surrounded by talent. So that's not the problem. It's just presenting your program as a place to be. So I I'm not really going to get into who I think should be, who I think is considered or who I think should be considered. That's something that I talk about as those names really really roll in. But you know it's not necessary that they go the celebrity coach route, although that can't hurt. But whatever they do, they need to make a good hire and a solid hire to keep this program moving on in the right direction, so they can kind of get out of that little skid that they in. Um, so now we're going to kind of talk about some coaches who I think are on the hot seat, and they may not get fired. They may get fired. I'm not saying, I don't know. I think a lot of it's going to depend on how their seasons turn out and how they look in these games. The first name I want to talk about, and I really, man, I really, really don't even like saying this about this guy, because this guy is a tremendous coach. He's a winner. Um, I feel like nowadays, you don't get you can't flip. And right now, Grambling is kind of dipping down, and people want to put Coach Fobbs on the hot seat. So I just figured I'd throw his name out there. I'm not saying I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think people are getting a little impatient, but personally, to me, I don't really think he's in danger. Now, obviously there are some things as far as the way the team has looked the last two seasons that a lot of people may not be happy with. The offense is not playing well. The defense is solid. They put together a really good defense this year coming off of that spring where they didn't play as well. But they look, they're solid on defense. Offensively, they just cannot put it together. They've already made a change at offense coordinator before the season. So you brought in a guy who had a pedigree and had credentials, and it's just not working right now. So the thing to me is, I don't know if you really want to get into the situation of changing coordinators every year, because this will be if they did make that move, this would be their fourth coordinator in basically a year. So I don't think you want to really get into that. But at the same time, I just don't see Coach Fobbs being totally on the hot seat. Now, if they lay an egg against Pine Bluff, then I know a lot of people are going to be restless, and the chat are going to start because, like I said, Coach Fobbs took over Grambling in 2014, and he went 7-5. That was off of those Grambling teams that really were down. After after the Doug Williams second run at Grambling, um, that team was down for a couple of years, and he got them back to 7-5. They finished second in the West, and then he won the West 3 years in a row. In 2015, he went 9-3 and 9-0 in conference. 2016, those great Grambling teams, 12-1, 9-0 in conference. 11-2 in 2017, 7-0 in conference. So in that 3 year span, he went 25-0 in SWAC play. So that we're 25-1 because they lost the championship game to Alcorn in 15. But that's obviously that's a tremendous record. 2018, 6-5, 4-3, another second place finish. 2019, 6-5, another second place finish, 4-3, and then an 0-4 spring that really, I think really got people's attention. And that record, I think, had a myriad of factors. I don't think that was just, necessarily that the team was just bad. There was a lot of things going on, COVID, and a lot of issues like that. So they didn't necessarily play the best team that they could put out there, and they just, they didn't win any games. And a lot of people were, recency bias is what sticks with you. That Bayou Classic game, really stuck out to a lot of people, especially a lot of people who not really familiar with the program before that. And that game really clouded a lot of people's vision of what Grambling is. And they're not, they're still not a really good team this year. But, like I said, they have a pretty solid defense, but they still haven't really hit the stride. And, the game against FAMU, a lot of people said that, the team was really, kind of acting out a lot of fights, attempted fights and things like that, real undisciplined type of style, which is not Coach Fobbs, man. His team doesn't really get down like that. So I don't know if I, like I said, this is all speculation for me. I don't know if, the team has, given up. I don't know, if it's just guys who, just, not used to losing like this, and, they're just, responding negatively. But I don't necessarily, me personally, I don't think that he's on the hot seat. Now, I could be wrong, but personally, I think that they still have some time to kind of get some things going. I don't know how much winning they can do this season to kind of salvage anything, but I I just think that a guy that really hasn't had, you know he's only officially had one losing season, and that was in the spring. So yes, it was a winless season, but it was a 4 game season, and the team obviously doesn't look so good right now. But I don't know if you wait and see and see how things turn out. if you wait, if you give him another year, which I personally think he deserves. But looking at the final their final schedule, they have Pine Bluff this week. They have Bethune-Cookman next week, and then Southern in the Bayou Classic. So if they could go 2 out of 3 in those games, I think that's a good look. Now I think winning the Classic will help a lot. I don't know if they can do it, but I think winning the Classic will at least soothe a few people. Because those all of those games are winnable. Southern is, obviously Southern is the toughest team left on their schedule, but that's the Classic. You just never know what's gonna happen. Um, 2019 was a 1 point game. Southern had to block a field goal to win, even though Southern's team was record and statistically better in that game. And all multiple years, Southern was the underdog and won. So that you I would be hesitant to just say Southern is an automatic dub when I'm talking outside of my circle. But I think that I personally think that they still have an opportunity. I don't like I said I don't know if you should really make any wholesale changes. Like I said, this is an odd year. Coming off of the spring, you didn't really have that time when you brought in your new coordinator. You didn't have that spring practice like you normally would have, and then your fall camp. So things, they I don't know if they ever really grasp what they want to do, or if they just don't have the guys to do what they want to do. Quarterback play, has to improve, and the offense as a whole has to improve. But this is my opinion that I don't necessarily think that he should be on the hot seat. So I said all that to say that I don't think he needs to be on the hot seat, although I can understand why some people may think that he should be on the hot seat. The next coach that I want to mention that is on the hot seat to some people, but I don't think this guy's in any danger of his losing his job for reasons outside of football, and that's Terry Sims from Bethune-Cookman. He took over this team in 2015, and he went 9-2 his first full season there, 7-1. He tied for first in the MEAC. Yeah, his only losing season before this season was 2016 when they went 4-6, and they still finished 4-4 in conference, tied for fifth. 2017, 7-4, 6-2, tied for second. 7-5 in 2018, 5-2, tied for second, and then 7-4, 5-3, fourth place in 2019, and then they didn't play in the spring or fall in 2020, and now they're 0-7 in the SWAC, 0-4 right now. So he has an overall winning record of 34-28. So I don't know if this, like I said, kind of like with Fobbs, I don't know if this one season is enough to get him up out of there. Bethune-Cookman, they're having some financial difficulties. They have their own issues off the field. I don't know if they're going to be able to fire him and then hire somebody because you're going to have to. Right now, I think he makes like 220,000. So you're going to have to be able to pay in that range right now to get a coach. Probably even more probably closer to the 300,000 range to get a good name coach. So I don't think that Bethune-Cookman is right now in any position to make that change. Yes, this season is horrible, and they've been in a lot of games. They just haven't won. I don't know if they're just gonna, give them a pass for this year and then see how next year go. Or if they're gonna, I think again, kind of like Fobbs, I think it'd be rash to do that. He definitely does need to make some changes on his staff. Maybe that can hold the tide, somewhere, need to rearrange some things or bring in some new guys or something if they can. Maybe that'll, hold everybody off at bay and then see how 2022 goes. And then if he doesn't look good in 2022, then I think you may have to make that change because I think this is a program that, yes, they want to win. Every program wants to win, but I don't think that this program has the pressure to win like a lot of other teams in the league. So he may not have that heat like that from out from inside. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I know you asking Bethune-Cookman fans, they're not happy right now with the way the team is looking. So, fans are always gonna be like, get him out of here. But right now I just don't know if they can do that, with the situation that they're in right now off the field. So he may be safe for reasons outside of football. And he may just be, he may just have to thank his lucky stars for the way that this program is being run right now, and that may be what saves his job. So um, the next coach, again, this is a coach who I don't see getting fired, but I think next year is do or die, and that's rare to say for a coach that's only in his only in his first full year, and that's Doc Gamble at UAPB. Um, I think the team lost a lot of guys in the portal that a lot of people didn't realize would hurt them as much as they did, but this team has not looked good at all this year. Um, the best football they played was the first half against Alcorn. They didn't play well against Lane, even though they won that game 34-16. But they didn't play well. They were sloppy. They fell behind against UCA and made a late run to make the game look a little bit closer than what it was. And then they blew that Alcorn lead, and then the team just fell off the cliff from there. And week after week, I think they've gotten worse. And I don't, I think, it's almost that point where you're looking like, have they packed it in? Grambling is a game that if they get their act together is a winnable game. Florida A&M and Alabama A&M to close the season are tough tasks. So this may be their only chance to win a SWAC game this year. If they finish winless in conference, then that's not a good look, especially coming off of that spring season. Now, I'm gonna say something. It's only my opinion, and it's gonna sound a little salty, and it probably is coming from my perspective. But that team in the spring was good, but that team was not championship good. I think that team really, really, really benefited from that win against Southern. They did blow out Grambling that year, but every other game they had was close. And I think, if the game would have kept going the way it was, they would have lost to Alabama State because they just didn't look that good in that game. They came in against Southern in the first half and just got Southern off their game. They played a chippy style of football and got Southern off of their game. They came in hungry. They came in, excited. They made the plays they had to make in the first half. Southern made a run to cut it down to 3 and had an opportunity to win and threw an interception. So I think that team really was not. They were good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they were bad, but I just don't think that necessarily was a championship team, and that may have clouded expectations coming into this year off of what they lost. And when you consider the fact that every year that Pine Bluffs won a championship or a division championship, the next year they've fallen off, and this year is no different than that. So I don't think Doc Gamble is going to be fired. I think that may be a rash move, and unless you have somebody in mind right now, then I think you need to see how he if he can right this ship because right now I guess you could say the mess is his. He needs to clean it up. Again, some changes need to be made on the staff. Maybe he can make the right change and get the right guys in. Get his team back in order, get them settled down, and find a way to get some dubs on the board. So right now, I think his seat is simmering. I think he out of the last few coaches I went through, I think he's the closest one to, maybe getting fired. But I still think it's too soon because he is only in his first full year. So I think you don't want to waste a year on a coach, just to see if he's gonna win. But I don't think that if you fire him right now, that you're really gonna be able to advance your program unless you make a hell of a hire right away. So I think Doc Gamble gets another year after 2022. If he doesn't do well then I think he may be out. The last coach I want to talk about, and this is a coach that everybody is familiar with his status on the hot seat, and whether that's fair or not, that's not for me to discuss. But that's Coach Rollins at Southern. Obviously he's an interim coach. So when you're an interim coach, you don't have any job security. You can be, you are auditioning for your job every week. And this season, did not go the way that a lot of people at Southern thought it would go. Some people thought this was a championship team. I never really thought they were that level. I thought this was a 8-3, 7-4 type of team, and they pretty much are still in their realm. They're not going to finish with that kind of record, but they still are in their realm. But the defense has fallen off a cliff. Yes, there's been injuries, but this team returned the bulk of the guys from the spring. They were one of the most experienced teams coming back from the spring, but they just never put anything. They never put it together any week other than maybe Pine Bluff. That's probably the closest to a complete game on both sides of the ball that Southern played all year. Now, Alcorn was a great game by the offense, and the defense did just enough, but they're giving up too many big plays. There I don't, this is my personal opinion. I don't like the direction the team is on the field. I think they're a little bit too involved in the extra chippy stuff. I think I just don't think that the team is playing disciplined football, and I think that's hurting them a lot. And unfortunately, that falls on the head guy. Um, this situation is obviously easier than the last few coaches because he's an interim, so you don't have to really worry about any kind of change that you make. This opportunity was going to be ahead of you anyway. But some people wonder if Alcorn saved his job. No, I don't think so. Um, I personally feel he may already be out, but I don't think anything that he does the rest of the season will save his job, even if he won the last 3 games. But I will play devil's advocate. If he did win these last 3 games and he had the opportunity to make some changes on the coaching staff, would people be okay with that? And that's the problem that I have with this the the smoke, so to speak, for Coach Rollins in this town and in this fan base is so high that I don't even know if he won these last 3 games, if the vibe would be okay if he returned. So I think most people have already mentally checked out of that situation of having him as the coach. And I mean, I know people who the minute after Southern won, they still were like they want him out. So people are not happy, and once the natives get restless, it's really hard to calm them down. The W's help, they do help, but I don't. I just think a lot of people still look back at the way the season has gone, and they just don't have a positive view of things. So, Southern is obviously most likely going to be in the hunt for a head coach. And again, similar to the Donald Ely situation, I'm not really going to get into any names right now, but there's a lot of people who would be up for this job, interested in this job if it came open. Southern obviously is a top job in the league, as far as tradition and fan base and things of that nature. So the program is still in a winning position. It's just they have to find the right guy to get this team back on track and under, I don't want to say under control, but get them back on track and get them moving in the right direction. So unfortunately, like I said, if you know me, if you talk to me at all, you know that I really rolled for Coach Rollins in when he got hired. I didn't know a lot about him, but I felt like with the way the team was built, the it was just the right move to keep that continuity with the team. And like I always say, I felt like he didn't need to do anything but keep the car on the road. Just pull it in the driveway and park it. So I just don't. I felt like I wasn't necessarily a fan of his as a hire, but I was a fan of the move of the move that was made because I thought that that's what the team needed. Now, obviously, it doesn't look that way, and I go back and forth, week in and week out on how I feel about the job itself. But I think that Southern's gonna be in the hunt for a new coach come the end of the season, and we'll see what direction they go. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the coaches on the hot seat. Although I will say this coach is not on the hot seat himself, but he definitely needs to make some changes on the defensive side of the ball. And that's Coach Maynard at Alabama A&M. Obviously, he just got a contract extension in the spring, so I mean, and he's gonna most likely finish with a winning record. So I'm not saying, I definitely wouldn't say you fire him. You'd be stupid if you did. But I think he needs to make some defensive changes and get that team back to some form of average defense. The defense in 2019 wasn't that good, but they had some guys who could make some plays. This defense is just not, they're just not making plays, and it's just not looking good for them right now. So I think they need to make some changes on the defensive side of the ball with the coaching staff and go from there. So that's gonna do it for this show. We'll be back tomorrow with our week 10 preview, and Thursday live edition Swag Smoke as usual, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and then Sunday our week 10 recap will be coming at you. So that's pretty much the schedule of events. If any other things pop off, then I might drop a video here or there. And just let me know who you think is on the hot seat, and just we can talk about that. One quick thing, and this not SWAC related, but it's FCS related. I heard not that long ago that McNeese and Incarnate Word are supposedly looking to leave the Southland and go to the WAC. So obviously I think the Southland is dead now. So that leaves a couple teams floating out there in the abyss. Are they gonna try to jump, especially Southeastern? Are they gonna try to jump? Or are they gonna try to hold on to this skeleton of a conference? So I just wanted to throw that out there because there's been the talk of a lot of things, with James Madison make it slated to make the move up to FBS, Conference USA trying to snatch and grab whatever they can to keep that conference floating, and multiple teams going to the South Sun Belt and Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee looking to join the MAC. So that leaves those leagues reaching down into FCS, and obviously that I don't think that affects the SWAC per se, but it does affect the SWAC strictly from a standpoint that names are going to start being thrown around to fill holes and kind of rescue conferences. So just wanted to throw that out there real quick, and then that's it for me. I'm up out of here, man. Y'all enjoy y'all Tuesday, and I'll see y'all tomorrow for our Week 10 preview. I'm out.